Welcome to another episode of American Gravy. I'm Andrew Gruhl.
I'm Lauren Gruhl.
And today we're just talking meat and potatoes, right? A lot of people love all the recipes and the complicated nature of some of our recipes, and then other people have been commenting, just give me some meat and potatoes. I want something I can go into the store, grab easily, quickly, make in like 20 minutes. So
yeah, something quick and easy and simple.
Yeah, this is one of our go-to family dishes, and we've actually put duct tape on all the kids' mouths, so you're not going to hear them screaming today. You all right, bud?
I don't think so.
We didn't really do that, just for PBS sake. Okay,
sake.
so meat and potatoes. Not going with the filet, not going with the ribeye, not going with any of those sexy cuts because, as you know, I love a lot of the off cuts. The cheaper cuts, which nothing is that cheap in this economy. Hopefully prices are going to start coming down at some point soon, although signs do not seem to indicate so. I've been talking about how in the restaurant industry, that is really kind of the index for the way in which prices are going to go, and restaurant prices are still going up, so unfortunately I think that we're in this one for the long haul. But one cut of meat that has gotten a lot of fanfare is the flank steak. So we went and we picked up a really nice flank steak here. When I say a nice flank steak, this is a grass-fed meat, still less than $10 a pound. Can you believe that that's what we're using as kind of the price break point, $10 a pound? But I mean, ribeyes right now, fillets, they're going for $25 to $35 a pound if you want something good. So smaller flank steak, it's that kind of grass-fed. Anytime with meat that you get yourself like a big piece of meat, and it's cheap, rest assured that that's like not the greatest meat. It's probably commodity meat, like highly grain fed. I like the grass fed because you don't get that fatty mouthfeel, and that's not a good fatty, right? A lot of that grain fed meat just coats the top of my mouth and I can't taste anything, which is why I love this grass fed meat. In a later episode, we'll get into the details as to why it's difficult to buy meat locally, but for the meantime, Google the Prime Act, which is Thomas Massey's wonderful idea to bring local meat and be such that you can actually buy from livestock from within the state as opposed to only one of the 2 or 3 mass producers of meat. So I digress there, but it's important we touch on the policy as well as the food when we bring everybody together in American Gravy. Been working on that one. So we got the flank steak. Now we salted this about, 30 minutes ago, and you can see actually where the salt, all the moisture is beating to the surface.
Everyone should know this by now.
They should know this. They should know this, but I love it. Like every time, I love how sexy it is when the salt kind of comes up to the surface and it starts to go back into the meat. So what's funny is that it's actually going to dry out and then it's going to get moist again because it's going moist. Okay, sorry, that's a no word. Going in and out of the meat. So we're going to set this aside and let the salt continue to do its work. We're going to do a reverse sear on this, but let's get into the potatoes, right? So while that, your fingernails on that. Yeah, your fingernails on that. Ooh, you gotta cut those nails.
Oh, stop.
I did her nails. Do you like these?
He likes when I scratch his back with his nails.
What? That is not even where I was going with that. Although now I have an itch. So these are my favorite potatoes, hands down, okay? You can get these at the grocery store. These are Melissa's, which is a produce company here in California, although they distribute nationwide. It's called the Baby Dutch Yellow Potato, DYPs. The reason I like these potatoes is that not only are they kind of small and easy to handle, but they're really rich in flavor, somewhat nutty, and buttery. I know that potatoes, people think potatoes starch one flavor. No. When it comes to potatoes, you got a world of flavor.
These are not your average potatoes.
Not your average potatoes. No way, Sammy. So we're gonna take these Baby Dutch Yellow potatoes and all we're going to do is just slice them in half, okay? You wanna start sending these to me. So I'm taking these guys down in half and I'm throwing them right into a sauce pot. And the reason I'm only doing it in half is because I want this surface area. We're ultimately going to sear that, and we're going to get a nice caramelized exterior on the potato. But I'm taking these, slicing them down the center, and I'm going to throw them into my sauce pot, and then I'm going to actually start them off in cold water.
Why is that important, babe?
That's important because root vegetables you always want to par cook in cold water to start, because when the water temperature gets brought up, it's cooking the potato almost from the inside out. And you want that with root vegetables. With leafy vegetables, we talked about blanching on the last episode, you start off in hot water. So I've got right here the potatoes. Look at how beautiful they are and how golden. Dutch yellow potatoes. So I'm gonna throw cold water in here, but the most important piece, all right, is that when you're cooking your potatoes, and this goes for fries, it goes for roasted potatoes, blanched potatoes, is that you actually wanna throw a little bit of acid in the form of vinegar into the water, because the acid prevents the pectin, the starch, from breaking down in the potato. So in theory, I could leave a potato in water with acid and I could boil it and boil it and boil it and it wouldn't break down into that mess. Now, side-by-side comparison with a potato that doesn't have the acid in the water, it's gonna completely break down into the water and you're basically just gonna have starch water. The acid in the water is what keeps the composure of the potato together, so that then at the end, when we pull them, we can do a nice buttery sear or saute and get a crisp exterior on the outside while the inside is nice and rich and fluffy.
All right.
So let's throw some cold water on there.
I got you.
All right, and then you know, maybe like 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar, or you could do white vinegar. Now, some people might think, oh, is this going to change the flavor of the potato because the vinegar is going to be in there? Well, the answer to that is yes, but in a good way. Because as you know, with that rich, creamy potato, you want a little bit of acid to cut through that richness.
Yeah.
Make the flavors pop.
Yes.
I'd say let's go over the health benefits of cider vinegar, but we did that last episode, and you were just like...
I failed.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
What are you talking about?
I forget. I blank when I get put on the spot.
Well, we'll give you a shot of tequila. All right, so now that the steak's been sitting for about 30 minutes, I'm gonna take it and we're gonna do a light rub on there. And this is a real simple one because since it's such a thin steak, I don't want too much flavor on the exterior, otherwise it'll overwhelm the steak. We'll just do like a touch of, oh, these are fresh.
These are fresh.
You are always giving me the fresh herbs. This is so nice of you to just keep me up on fresh spices and fresh herbs.
Welcome.
So I've got some ancho chili powder here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do about like a teaspoon in there.
We got
Garlic powder, about a teaspoon. Okay, a little bit of paprika.
Small amount. So
Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, so you're getting the aromatic from the garlic and you're getting a little bit of spice from the paprika and the ancho chili powder and some smokiness. We've got the salt already on the steak, so I'm just gonna kind of cover this. Actually, if you want to grab me some avocado oil, let's give it a touch of fat for when we do the slow roast. And then we'll just give this a rub down, right? So people ask me, with a flank steak being as thin as it is, or even a flat iron for that matter, which is a similar steak to a flank steak in size and flavor, why go in the oven? Well, I still kind of want to just do that slow set, and I want to let some of that moisture evaporate, so when I do throw it on the high heat finish, which in this case is going to be the grill, it gets a nice, beautiful, crispy exterior in a shorter period of time. So right now we got the potatoes cooking, we got the flank steak that's in the oven kind of setting, getting ready for that final sear. We're gonna throw a quick herb mix together for the potatoes and the steak as well, just to finish with. So I've got some fresh oregano here. I'm just gonna pick a little bit of this off, all right? I got some fresh thyme. So fresh oregano, fresh thyme. I mean, fresh oregano against the dry oregano is like another herb, you know, so I highly recommend people use the fresh oregano. A little bit of Thai basil. Oh my God, I love that. It's just so fresh. And then obviously we'll pluck a couple pieces of chives here and then do a chiffonade on there, okay? But I keep the chives separate because I don't want to chop the chives. I just want to slice the chives separately and mix them in together. Okay, that's it. Because we don't want to slice our herbs and turn them into mulch. We still want them to have a little bit of integrity. Now the key with slicing so thin without ripping your finger off is you want to keep 3 fingers together. Use your middle finger as the lead finger, right? So use the side of the finger to make sure. So I got my 3 fingers behind my middle finger and my thumb behind that. And my thumb is what's holding the chives together. Obviously, this isn't something that you can pick up from a video. You got to do this for hours, but it's kind of fun to practice doing it, and I highly recommend using like, you know, just a bag of onions, diced the right way to practice. So that's all set.
Ooh.
You don't want them to be totally broken down. I just want them to be fork tender, right? So I can kind of feel it with my tongs. Once it really,
you can stick a fork in there.
You can stick. Yeah, you can stick a fork in there. But what you're looking for is that if you just cover them by about an inch over the top, start in cold water, bring it up to a boil. By the time it boils for about 2 or 3 minutes, they should be par cooked enough that then you can strain them and finish them in some butter and herbs, and they'll be all set, perfect to the tooth. All right, so look, this is par cooked. I mean, it's really just set, and what you'll notice too is that on the other side it's more set, right? So I flip it over and kiss that other side. I mean, this is still blue on the inside. We've just set the outside. cold, whole butter on the meat at the end. And I do that because what happens is you see all this beautiful juice that's coming to the surface. This really kind of mixes in with the butter, so you're almost making like a natural pan sauce right on the meat. It's mixing in with the juices, and then I'll pour this over the steak before I eat it. See, like, look at that. Look at how it gives it that nice, beautiful sheen, and it's dripping off there.
I'm drooling.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's flavor country right there. Okay. All right. Woo. We really went off there. See, look at that though. Now you've got that pan sauce. Like, we're gonna use that over the steak.
Where
Come on in. Come on in. Why don't you grab a fork? Give him a feel. A little fork
I'll
tender
do a
feel.
little fork. Let's see.
How do they feel?
Oh, they're hard.
They're still a little hard. Okay. Well, let them go a touch longer. See, the beauty of the potato vinegar combo trick is that you don't have to worry about your potatoes overcooking because they're never going to break down. You still don't want them to be like mashed potato on the inside, but even if they overcook a touch, you're not going to run into that issue of having just like broken potato pieces. Now we're going to take this juice, all this beautiful meat juice, and we're going to mix it into the potatoes.
Oh.
So, you know, that's where we talk about this kind of 1 or 2 pan meal, getting all the flavors from X into Y, Y into X, A
What
into
if
D.
somebody were to do like a 1-pan meat potatoes? What meat would you choose?
Well, then I would do like a fillet, right? Something that doesn't require a longer cook time and you can do it right in the pan. So what I would do is that I would take a fillet, not a big fat fillet, but I would sear it on both sides. I would remove it from the pan and then I would throw my potatoes in there and I would cook the potatoes down in the pan. Then I would put the fillet back in the pan to finish. So you got it all right there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're ready.
And I think one tell too
Went
is
through.
that if you start with about the water about an inch above, and then it kind of boils down to right below the potatoes, that's usually like a good tell in terms of moisture evaporation. Okay, so now we're gonna get this going over high heat because we're gonna actually sear the potatoes skin side, well, cut side down.
Cut side down.
Cut side down. So give those a nice shake out so they get really dry. High heat oil, this is my 0 acre oil, cultured oil. This is fermented sugar cane. It does not fall into the seed oil categories. That's why I love this one, right? But just, and you can kind of see like, you want to get this pan hot enough. A lot of people don't know how to use oil in a pan. When the pan gets really hot, the oil is almost the consistency of water, and that's when you know. One of the ways in which, and you always add your oil to a pan when the pan's already hot, because when you add it when it's cold, you have the tendency to add more than you need because it's congealed when it's cold. So one trick is you can actually take a pan and get it really hot and then just take some water in your fingers and throw it on the pan, and then when it quickly evaporates, that's a Mike Chernovich trick right there. Gotta give him credit on that. Then you know that the pan is ready for the oil to be added. There we go. Okay, look at that. We're gonna get our, I'm gonna try and flip, now you don't have to flip all of them, but I do want to get that.
I would flip all of them.
I mean, come on.
It makes it.
We want to make it rustic,
Well,
but try and get most of them kind of, you know, cut side down.
She just used tongs.
Because I like using my fingers. This is a test. This is such like a chef's test. Is you want to see how strong your fingers are.
I remember at the restaurant, one of our old employees, he stuck his bare hand into the oven and grabbed a sheet tray, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Ah, it's fine. My hands are calloused." I was like, "Okay."
We used to do this
What?
back when I was doing my apprenticeship. We used to take be blanching green beans, and we could see how many green beans you could pull out with your bare fingers as the water was boiling. And what's really funny is what that taught us to do was to keep our water at a boil, because as it came up to the surface, then you could grab them right as they kind of came out of the water. So it was masochism and culinary school mixed. There we go.
You missed one.
You got it. Look at those fingers. Let me see those sweet baby fingers. So beautiful. How's our sound, Jack? Is our sound good? I had to do with the headphones. It's like, he's not even listening to anything. Actually, he's not even playing a game.
I am.
He just
He's getting some ice cream.
he just
Goodbye, little one.
walks around with the headgear on
He's
and
so cute.
talks to himself.
So are we gonna throw in any butter or anything? in
Oh,
here?
we're gonna throw some butter in there. That's
Like
for
how
sure.
much butter?
Oh, like a lot of butter. This
Oh, we're
is
gonna
what we're
add
gonna do. Now look at
pan
this.
sauce.
Now we're gonna add the natural pan sauce
Oh
from the steak. Just like a teaspoon of butter. Okay, so I turn the heat off now when I add the butter. right? And then we're gonna hit this with a little bit of salt.
Which we have
Which I got right here, just enough. Okay. And then, oh my God, why is that?
This has not happened since we've done. I don't know what it is.
All right, so now let's add the fresh herbs into here.
Also, Viking, if you want to help us out.
Yeah, that's true. If anyone from Viking is watching, we could use them in stove top.
No, we don't need this. I just need to.
Okay, let's add some of these fresh herbs on there. All right. So the reason I add the herbs right now is they're fresh herbs. You don't want to cook with the fresh herbs, you want to finish with the fresh herbs. You can still add some heat to them so that the flavors can bloom, but you don't want to cook with the fresh herbs because then you lose all that beautiful oil and flavor that's in the fresh herbs. You cook with dried herbs. Now this is also, this is the brown butter right here. So we have made a beurre noisette right in the pan, which is brown butter, and you make that by actually adding butter to a pan and cooking it just enough so that the milk solids that are in the whole butter toast, and it creates that beautiful nutty flavor. Call it a day. But let's give a nice slice on this meat.
Okay, can you explain, because sometimes I'm even guilty of like, this was pretty obvious, but like for somebody who doesn't know how to cut properly, like how would you, what?